Hi team, welcome to Quality Center Training. I am Shan, working for ALM. I have an experience of about 7 years in the field of software testing. I would be your trainer for Quality Center, and this course is about to prolong for approximately 10 hours, and I hope you will have a very successful and a fruitful association with ITELearn. Once again, thanks for choosing ITELearn. Okay, so few people are actually pinging me that you are unable to hear me. So can you all participants just reply me that if you are able to hear me? Yes, okay. For few people, it's please just use your headphones at your end so that you are able to hear me. Thanks. Okay, the first things first, the agenda for today's session. What we will be looking at it is what is Quality Center and where it fits in. The application lifecycle management tool, what is that all about? We might have perceptions or preconceived notion about Quality Center. However, we will understand what is Quality Center. Apart from that, I will do a Quality Center features walkthrough. Probably will not be able to do a complete walkthrough today. So we will have a session, one more session tomorrow for this second half of features walkthrough. And before we end the session, I'll just give a brief about the Quality Center evolution. Great. So now comes the very first question. What is Quality Center? Before pitching into what is Quality Center, let us first start from software development lifecycle. So, what are all the software development lifecycle methodologies that we are aware of? For example, we can tell waterfall model, V model, agile, and whatnot. So be it whatever may be the software development lifecycle methodology, the phases of the software development lifecycle remains the same. So what are those phases? So it usually starts with requirements, specifications. So this requirement specification can be a business requirement specification or system requirement specification, or even it may be a functional requirement specification, followed by design. So what design they will do? Usually architects or the developers will come with the design of the system. Say it's a high level design or low level design, followed by coding, usually done by developers, and followed by testing. This is the area that we would be focusing the most part of it. As a tester, we would be focusing most on testing, followed by deployment, where we actually deploy the code or a build or a product on a production server, and finally followed by maintenance. Okay, so there are various phases of software development lifecycle. Now let us understand where this Quality Center fits into this software development lifecycle. Assume that you are the only person working on a particular project, a software project wherein I assume that you know or you might have got a very brief understanding about all these various phases. So let us assume that you are the only one who is working for this particular, say a particular product or a project. We always, let us take an example of an application. We will take ncalculators.com as a sample application for all our ncalculators.com. Okay. So in this one, we would be going for mortgage, or let's say EMI calculator. Assume that you are the only person who is working on this application. So you have these requirements, a detailed business requirement and functional requirement specification. You also have got the design and you have done the coding. You will do the unit testing and the integration testing, followed by deployment and maintenance. Because you are the only one who is working on the product, it is very easy to handle things effectively. You know exactly what requirements or what coding that you have done. Whereas, think about a real-time scenario. Real-time complex application, say a very big financial application, say a credit card application of a biggest bank, say American Express or a Citibank. At least there will be hundreds of developers working on it. There might be 50 testers who might be working on that particular application, and there might be 20 business analysts. It's just a rough number. So I'm just trying to make you understand, if the project size goes bigger and bigger, we need a platform. We need a platform to interact with our counterparts or project mates. So for us to interact or to actually do things efficiently all in one place, we need a tool or a product, right? So our platform. So thinking about all these, the concept of application lifecycle management tool has evolved. Okay, so all these phases, say you would be able to have all your requirements in probably a repository or a document, or it can be in the form of work item, followed by the design. All the design documents you will be able to have it in one particular folder structure, and developers would be testing it in the same platform area where all the developers, if there are even 100 developers would be working simultaneously, and the testers, be it any number of testers would be testing it on a single platform, and then the same tool will help us to deploy our code in one of our production servers, followed by maintenance. Great. So in order to actually use this tool effectively, what we need to do or what we need to understand. So this particular platform will help us to integrate all these phases, where we will be able to interact with every other developer and tester effectively. So before this application lifecycle management tool has evolved, defect management tool was in place, or we can convey this as one of the popular mechanism where we track our defects just for the testing purposes or for defect control mechanism. Defect controlling or tracking is one of the most crucial area or the exit criteria of a product or project. So the defect management tool, people log in defect and it has its own state. The developers take it and fix it. So the final exit criteria would be there are no crucial or critical defects. So there is no other things that would be part of defect management tool. Example, Bugzilla. The same Bugzilla course is in detail in ALM. Please go and refer in case if you need any other information. Great. So this Bugzilla is only used for defect management tool, whereas this application lifecycle management tool will support the end-to-end cycle all in one place. Great. Fine. So this leads to a concept called the application lifecycle management. Now what we will do is that we will go to Quality Center, launch Quality Center, and understand what are all the various tabs or the features available over there, and we will go one step at a time. At this point of time, I would just take a stake of things. Like if you have any questions, please feel free to ping in the chat channel. Okay, let's move on. So I will just launch HP Quality Center. So regarding this downloading, installation, we are having a separate session where we will discuss all these things. So at this point of time, we will just restrict our questions with respect to the flow. Offline questions, we can take it later, or please feel free to put it in the forum. We have a specialized forum where we will be able to see all our questions there, and we are very active in the forum, and we will get back to you at the earliest. Great. Fine. So the way in which you launch Quality Center, or before we move to Quality Center, we will just understand one more stuff. So the Quality Center works on an ActiveX based control browser. So it works only in IE. It don't support Firefox because Firefox or Chrome, or you have to install a third-party plugin which supports. So we usually launch Quality Center by giving the server name : the port name /QC bin. Okay. The moment we launch it, these are all the links that you would be able to see here in this particular Quality Center homepage. Now, moment we click on Application Lifecycle Management link, all right, this Application Lifecycle Management, it's also popularly known as ALM. So whenever I talk about ALM, please understand it is Application Lifecycle Management. Okay, so the user ID, login name and password. Okay, we authenticate. There are two more fields. Let us understand these two fields in a very better manner. So domain and project. Okay, so see, for any kind of organization, say if it's a very big organization, say better we can understand it's a Microsoft. Microsoft is a very bigger organization. We can call, or we can correlate this to a domain. Okay, within Microsoft, okay, within Microsoft, say we are having n number of projects. What I will do is I'll just do a shape. I'll do a basic drawing so that we understand it better. So in say this is Quality Center, and within that we have got so many domains. You can have n number of domains. However, based on your business unit also, you can have your domain. Say it's Microsoft. Say this is for Google. Okay. So for each one of those domains, you will have its own set of projects. Say for example, Microsoft, there is a project, say Windows. There can be a project named MS Office. So on and so forth. So I'll just draw one more. Say for example, Windows Messenger. Okay. So each one of these forms a project within this Microsoft domain. Okay. So similarly, Google can have its own domain and project. It's like the analogy. What we can tell is it's like a house where you have got 2 or 3 bedrooms, and you can wish to, or the way in which you want to segregate things, or the way in which you want to have a look and feel. It's absolutely your decision. It's like that. So nothing can interfere between the Windows and MS Office and MS Office and Messenger. So each is a own set of entity and each one has its own repository. Okay, so now let's get back to Quality Center. The moment we choose our domain and the project, here you will be able to see what is domain and what is a project and what is the user. Okay, the user who has logged in. Okay, team, please understand it's a very simple tool. You can see there are just 5 tabs which we need to master, and of course there are third-party tools which actually integrate with it at this point of time. By just this is how Quality Center looks like. Okay, back and forward button, the way in which it works on the browser, it's the same. Within it, this works within the Quality Center, and there is a tools menu followed by help. In the tools, we have got list of options to change a project. If you can switch between the projects while you are in Quality Center. Say if you are in Windows project and if you want to switch to MS Office, for example, we will be able to switch it better by just using that menu option. Okay, and customize will take you to one window altogether, a different window that what you see. Here we will be able to customize all the user properties and actions. So now let us return back. We will visit each one of these elements in detail in the forthcoming sessions, and here you can have a direct new defect and clear history, task manager and document manager. So clear history. So we will revisit this. Just I am actually walking you through the options that are available and the way in which it is going to operate will be dealt in detail. Help, it's a very basic thing. So you will be able to browse all the other options that are within Quality Center. Okay, fine. Now the dashboard. So the name says it all. Whatever may be the terminology, we will all understand with respect to the terminology itself. So the dashboard, you can actually correlate this with respect to a car dashboard. What we see in a car dashboard, we will be able to see a fuel meter or a temperature meter, or we will be able to see even the speed of the car at which it is accelerating. So this dashboard view in Quality Center will give us a clear picture of what is going on at the moment. Okay, at this particular point of time, what is going on. You will not be able to see anything here because it is totally an empty project which I have created. The project is empty, so we will be creating our own repository by taking a sample application. That's why you are unable to see anything or no data is found actually. Okay, dashboard view and analysis view both are empty. Followed by management. This is our point of start. Okay, this is our point of start. So under management we have got releases and libraries. Now let's come to releases. Okay, fine. Say if it is a very big project. Okay, if it's a very big project, say for example the one which we have taken is an online EMI calculator. So within this you have got in ncalculators.com we have got so many applications, but we will just take this EMI calculator at the moment. So for this project, assume that there are a lot of releases that are going on year. So in real time how it works, there are a lot of releases. Okay, say release 2013 followed by release 2014, so on and so forth. Okay, release 2013 or 14. Okay, so for each one of these releases we will be having cycles. Okay, so if the release target or the scope of this release would be split across 4 cycles. Say for example, I'm saying we will have cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, and cycle 4, and so on. So there might be there will be different cycles, and the deliverables of each cycle is going to be different. And finally, at the end of all these cycles, the release would be completed. Okay, so this the way in which the bigger products or the projects they operate is each one of the products would be segregated into releases and cycles. So let's open Quality Center, and now we will understand how it fits in here. So go to releases, it's an empty release folder here. We will create two folders. Say we will create 2013, this is one folder, and followed by 2015. Okay, so this is, yes, okay, fine. So under 2013, I will create a new release, 2013, okay, R1 or release 2013. Here we will specify the start date and end date, when this release is going to start and end. So the release start date and the release end date is what we are first going to give as the input. So the release end date should always be greater than the start date, and we can give the description. So most of the controls are similar, so we will not be going in depth for each and every control. Probably one I would do, and then rest all would be self-explanatory. So we can actually have an attachment also if there are any. Click OK. Now we will create cycles within this. Okay, cycle 1, and now cycle 1 starts from, I will say it starts from Jan to March. Jan to March, followed by, we can also give the description, say it's a cycle 1 example. Now we will create one more cycle, cycle 2, start date from April to June. Alright. Similarly, so now if we want to create multiple cycles in a quick succession, just right click on the cycle and we can just click on duplicate cycle. Now we can rename it here, and one more duplicate cycle. So what happens when you do a duplicate cycle, you can see here the start date and the end date of the release. This is the release start date and end date. The start date and end date, whatever you are seeing in the red, are cycle start date and end date. So whatever the things that we have copied will have the same start date and end date. So we should now do a rescheduling. Right click, there is a reschedule option. Now for release 3, the date, what I would say is between July and September. Right. Now I click on OK and go to release 4, again do a reschedule, because we have copied that particular release from the prior release settings. October to December. Alright. So now we have done the very initial setup. This is going to drive the whole show. So each one of these projects will have different various releases, and each release is going to have various cycles. That's what we have done here. If we go to releases here, now these are all dynamically generated tabs. The moment the first time we created the release, we didn't see all these things. For example, right click, listen carefully please. So if you see here release, we have to enter just the release dates and the name. Whereas the moment after you create it, you can see all these things are dynamically generated. Release scope, master plan, scorecard, status, and attachments. Okay, So the details tab, whatever we have entered is what we are seeing at the moment. So the release scope, the name says it all. We need to add the scope item to this folder. So just click on new, for example, create EMI calculation functionality. So priority I will mark it as very high, and owner, these are all the users that are available for this project. So we can just select a name and then click OK. Okay. So we have just created a release scope. So whatever we are doing is for just a mock or a trial purpose. So that we understand the features effectively. So the release scope is done. Now let us go to the master plan view. Here whatever we have created, if you see here, cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, it has automatically generated the graph for us, showing a picturesque description of how the release is going to be. We are in the release root folder. So please understand, it is going to consolidate all these cycles and show us in a view wherein we will be able to see all these in a master plan view. What is the plan, or what is the plan, or how we have made the cycles, or how we are going to proceed. The scorecard, status, attachments. So all these three tabs are used effectively once we start testing it. So please understand the scorecard, status of it. See, if you see here, the status, we are in remaining days in the release. Okay, 266 days, because we have already lost close to 120 days, which we are right now in April 8th or 9th. So total instances of the release, remaining test cases, so everything is empty. That's the reason why you are able to see, or whatever you are seeing is an empty data over here. So once we start, we will be able to understand all these aspects very effectively, followed by attachments. So this is what we have in the release tab, followed by the cycle. Okay, what a cycle contains. Cycle also, whatever we have entered in the cycle start date and end date, followed by attachments, and then the same progress of the cycle. Again, these progresses will be shown based on our progress of that cycle. Then quality of that cycle. So all these things are calculated based on our test execution and defect count. Okay, fine. So just I would like to take a stake of things at this point of time. Team, please feel free to put it in the chat channel if you have any questions at this point of time. What does cycle exactly means? So see, if a project is, say if it's a very big project, assume that you are developing this particular website, ncalculators.com. Okay, so we will not be able to develop everything all in one shot. Okay, so for that what we do, okay, so for that what we do, or what actually in real-time scenario, what developers and testers as a part of the team that they do is that they create this release. So for this year, we will just develop this marked gauge calculators. Okay, for this release 2013, we will just release this marked gauge calculators, leave the other things. So in marked gauge calculators in 2013, how we are going to accomplish, let's say like in 2013 in cycle 1, we will have marked gauge loan calculator, followed by marked gauge loan comparison calculator in cycle 2. Cycle 3, we will just implement these two features, followed by the last cycle, we will finish off with home loan EMI calculator. It's the way that we break down the things such that we arrive at the final product as such. It's very similar to a house construction, my dear friends. So we just lay a plan, and then we build up on the rooms, and then we plaster, and then we paint. So it's equal to what it is. Okay. So someone has asked, is this tool QC or ALM? I do not understand. Okay. Let us go back to what we have done. So these are all the software development phases of it. Okay. Quality Center, initially it all started as a test management tool. Okay. Test management tool. Now that they have actually enabled or they built this, the way there is a place for requirement specification, there is also a repository where you can put in your design. Coding is not supported by Quality Center. Let us understand. Okay, Quality Center is not supported by, coding is not supported by Quality Center. Testing, yes. Deployment and maintenance, no. In maintenance, in the sense, if you want to track defect and also if you want to raise any more new things, that you can just do it. Whereas Quality Center do not support coding and deployment. So why it is called an application lifecycle management then, right? So the tracking or project planning and tracking, along with that testing not only just restricted to manual testing. It also has the capabilities to integrate with QTP, HP tools such as QTP and Load Runner, or even with the third-party tools such as TFS or Team Foundation Server or a Rational Team Consult. These are all the application lifecycle management tool or popular application lifecycle management tools in the market. So it's just a reference that I have taken. Okay, so hence they have come up with this concept ALM, where it integrates everything. Okay, there are other tools which integrate with ALM, application lifecycle management, where we can accomplish the other steps. Okay, can you explain HLD and DLD? This is just out of the scope. Please refer to Karthik's QA live programs. There is a QA live session or QA program wherein we discuss all the QA parameters. This is related to QA concept as such. So all these things are taken in detail. All right. Is QC an open source? Definitely not. It is a product of HP. It is a licensed tool, and what you are seeing at the moment is an evaluation version of Quality Center, and also it's available for download for everyone. You have to register and download. The evaluation copy is available for 30 days. Okay, fine. So now let's keep going. So we are done with this releases tab. Now next comes the libraries. All right, what is a library? In very generic terms, what we see in a library, we find books, magazines, journals, and whatnot. Similarly, what we can see is that so what we can see is that in libraries we will be able to add all the test resources such as one second. Sorry for the inconvenience, friends. So in libraries, what we will find it is all these journals, magazines, and newspapers or whatnot. Similarly, library, this folder, we will be able to upload all types of repository. All right, all different types of repository. It can be a requirement document, it can be a test plan document, or it can be a test case document. Library, it is going to contain all the information. So what is the use of having a library? We will be able to see what are all the things that we can put in there, and all the resources we can keep it in this particular folder. Okay, so Say for example, I'll just put 2013. Okay, so now we can create a library. Say for example, you will be able to see all these things here: requirements, resources, components, tests. So now I think it would become very obvious. So when we can use library? Once we have our requirements in place, or we have other test resources or components associated with it. So we will be able to create a library if and only if we have all the things such as requirements and the test resources in place. Okay, so now let us hit the requirements, which is the very first stage of a software development lifecycle. Now now having said that we have done the initial setup, it is very easy for us to go and proceed with the requirements creation. Okay, let me say 2013 release folder, requirement folder name. Okay, see here, the moment I create a folder, what happens? You can see this green color unlock symbol. Okay, now let us understand the concept called versioning. Okay, so I have just created requirement, and this is how all the documents, whatever the changes that you are going to make, whatever the new things that you are creating will be impacted. Alright, please understand, versioning is one important aspect, and versioning is an optional, or the moment you after installing, it's an optional thing post installation. It is the way in which you have configured your project. Please understand, the way in which you have configured your project. If you have enabled versioning, you will be able to see that this kind of icons in all the aspects, be it requirements, business models, resources, plan or lab. Wherever you do any modifications, modifications include create, edit, delete. Okay, so what is the use of version? Okay, let us understand, if we are 100 people working on a product or a project, let's say only one person has to check in or change the requirements at one particular point of time. Only one person should be able to change a work item. Let me call it as a requirement. In this case, change the work item at one point of time or at a time. Alright, so by doing so, it is locked for this user. Now actually I am editing it. So it says to the other user that, boss, so and so person, for example, user admin is right now editing it. You will not be able to make any modifications at this point of time. Okay, and then what is the other advantage of it? So we will be able to track the changes. So if I edit it, say for example, if I edit one part of a section, I come back and do a remodification, I will be able to trace the changes. Okay, so it is just to ensure that only one person is able to edit a work item requirement at this point of time, at one point of time, and followed by we will be able to track the changes. Alright, so now we have opened a folder, right click, new requirement. Alright, so let's say EMI calculation. So I will tell this type of requirement as a business requirement. So you can see here there are a lot of options available for you. Let us say business requirement. Creation date, priority, reviewed or not reviewed, you will be able to select that as well. See here, target release and target cycle. Already we have seen that cycles are based on release. So if I select a cycle, automatically it will pick releases. Alright. So I will go and select a cycle. Say I will first do cycle 1. So immediately see here cycle 1 is release 2013. Automatically it is picked up. So description I will say EMI calculation. We have created a. So now what happens, again a new requirement window pops up. So we don't want to create any more new requirements, we will close. You will be able to see the requirement IDs followed by who has created it and what is the name of it. Now it is still not available for the other users because see here the lock button is checked out or unlocked against my name, green colored one. So right click, versions, check in. Let's say I'll say this is the first version. Click OK. Right click, versions, check in. Click first version. So to know more on any kind of version controlling tools, please refer to the concept called, this is a configuration management concept. Alright. So please refer to this. The versioning, all these things are very generic to any software development lifecycle model. So this is one of the main concept dealing with how to track changes, especially in a very agile environment. Means developers, so 50 developers working on it. So such kind of things will be controlled only by version controlling. All right. So we have created the requirements. There are a lot of other things that we have it here. However, I will just continue with the next thing. Here we have just created one type of requirement. See, what are the other options available in requirements is what we are going to see at this point of time. See here, delete. So delete also, it will pop up for, see, deleting a requirement also deletes is child requirement, test coverage, traceability and defects linkage. So if you delete this, it is going to remove all the relevant things completely from the system. It includes the other requirements, coverage, traceability and defects linkage. So we don't want to delete this point of time. Refresh. See here, checkout. So check in and checkout I have already explained. However, I will let you know how to configure a project post installation to enable versioning. Okay. All right. So any questions at this point of time, please ping chat channel. Did you cover libraries? See, libraries, as I conveyed earlier, the libraries is a set of things that you can put it in a artifact or something, but you can create libraries if and only if you have all the other repositories or resources available. For example, you should have the requirements. I tried showing you, actually for creating a library you should have a requirement, because only now we have a requirement, it's actually popped up here. There are no other resources available. So libraries are created not at the beginning of the stage. So once we start using it, we will be able to understand it better. Can you explain checkout again? Sure, we will be creating more requirements and you will be able to understand that very effectively. Can we prepare traceability matrix using requirements module? It's traceability matrix in quality center. Yes, you are right. In requirements module, we have this what is it, releases module, we have the scorecard, attachments, progress and quality along with this dashboard will address your question. However, at this point of time, we will restrict the questions with respect to what we have dealt. What is the version number in the field in the requirements? It is grayed out. Version number in the, what is the version number field in requirements? Let us right click versions. You will be able to see, if you get into this particular select columns, say for example, I will just select history, version number, status, and also history. Okay, just click OK. Oh, sorry. Select the columns and version number and status. Click OK. See here the requirement ID followed by version number. So currently we are in version number 2. Version status is checked in. Right click. See here you will be able to see the version controlling options, check in and check out. Alright, fine. So what is the significance of maintaining libraries in quality center? We will come back to that again. Great. So we will be covering in depth of all these things: business models, test resources, business components, test plan and lab in detail in the forthcoming sessions. Now let us open the forum for question and answers. Okay, how create releases, okay, how create releases module tester or CM. So yeah, very good question. The person has asked how we can create a release. Is it done by a project manager or is it done by a tester? It depends on the level of access that person has. This level of access, installation, configuration, customization could be dealt in installation module. That would be for paid participants. Probably we are planning to take it as session 3. We have the documentation. I'll walk you through how to install. It's not a straightforward installation. We have to configure various things that are required for installation. So installation is, as you ask, so many people are asking with respect to installation. So we will cover that in detail in the forthcoming sessions. What is the significance of maintaining libraries? That's fine. Is there test plan and test lab? Yeah, you are seeing here test plan tab and test lab. Yeah. So these two things are part of this testing team. I would say this is the area where testing is more on focus, especially testing tab and the defects tab. So testing tab, if you see here resources, the name says it all. It can be a test plan, test case, test script library, automations, reusable function library. It can be a load runner library. It can be anything. All these test resources you can put in here. Business components. So I will just visit this business models and business components in detail. All right. And test plan and lab. Yes, this test plan is used for creating your test cases, putting all your test cases and keep it ready so that you can execute your test cases in test lab. All right. In test lab, execution happens. So how we can create customized views. Yeah, this things is part of again installation question. How we can get QC installed on local machine, we have already addressed. Will you cover test plan and test lab module today? No, it's just now open for Q&A. We will address Q&A and we will wrap up for rest of the day. Before that, I would like to give you a couple of information. All right. So there are two things we should know. So if you are having any questions related to quality center, there is a forum at itelearn.com. Okay. If you go to itelearn.com, you just scroll below. There is a members area. technical support. Just click here. You will be able to get the list of the forum modules where you can post your question. Okay. Go to manual software testing, and inside that you can create a question of quality center and then post it here, and all your questions would be answered. Alright. It's a very active member. Usually the turnaround time is 24 hours. Okay. So apart from that, any other questions related to just quality center, you can also post your questions related to the session as such. You can, regarding the session or registrations, you can go to quality center live training. Go to quality center live training, and here you have got see, this is the form wherein you can put in your question and you can see the responses below. So put in your question, and below you can find your responses along with the answers related to quality center training program as such. Alright. Find them. Is the recording available for today's class? Yes, absolutely. Great. And one more thing, there is also a free QTP session that has been scheduled for tomorrow, how to master QTP. Karthik is going to handle it. Please feel free to join. There is very limited seats for it. So please join so that you will have a better understanding about QTP as well. Alright. Any other question, friends? So yes, the same video would be uploaded. Once this video is actually being converted, this will be uploaded into our website. You will be able to see that as well. Alright. I hope you had a great session today. I think everyone is excited for the next session, and I believe I will be able to make a lot of difference the way in which you see or perceive things about quality center. Thanks for joining, and I wish you are very happy for the rest of the day.